The METUS Tech Show.
Welcome to the METUS Tech Show, a show for HVAC professionals by HVAC professionals.
The METUS Tech Show.
All right, so Junior, we were talking earlier about these chalupas your wife makes.
Yes, the chalupas.
Tell me what goes into that.
So you got to get these big Mexican tortillas, and then you got to put beef in a pressure cook till it comes apart.
It's nice and tender.
Nice and tender. You season it with, garlic, any kind of Spanish seasoning that you like. You put it in there. So then you take it out. You put it on top of the tortilla. Then you put some guacamole, cilantro, lettuce, tomato. And just boom. Yeah, really good stuff.
Well, so we're at a conference. We're at the Contractor Community Summit 2024 in Austin, Texas. And just like all the conferences that we come to, they bring food out every hour and a half. And I just stuffed my face with some grilled cheese and some taquitos and everything else. And this is the danger. This is why I have the weight problem I have, is because every time somebody mentions food, I get hungry no matter how long it's been.
Yeah, this is like the second food break of today. We had breakfast, a break, brought out food.
Yep.
Now we had some meetings going on, and we came out, and now they got food again.
Well, and then they had lunch, and then there's food.
Oh yeah, then we had lunch, and then more food.
So there's breakfast, then there's the second breakfast, then there's lunch and the second lunch, and then there'll be the pre-dinner, and then the dinner, and then the after-dinner. Right? Yeah. So anyway, now to be honest, is this your wife making it, or are you making it? Are you helping at all?
Well, I go to the grocery store by the
Oh yeah.
Go get the supplies.
I'll go the supplies.
Do you know any kind of spices? I'm assuming some paprika, some garlic.
Yeah, garlic, onions.
Yeah.
Very simple stuff to kind of healthy.
What about spicy? You like spicy hot?
You can make it spicy too. You can put some jalapenos in there, slice. So.
Serrano peppers or poblanos, those are good too.
Yeah, earlier we talked. You mentioned pico de gallo.
Pico de gallo.
Pico de gallo is basically onions, tomatoes,
and
cilantro.
A little cilantro.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's very good.
The lemon juice.
Now,
lemon juice. That's right.
Lime.
Now, any cheese
lime.
on there? Do you put any cheese on the?
Yes, you can put cheese, kind of like grated cheese, cheddar cheese.
And then do
mozzarella
you
cheese.
Close it and fry it, or is it just?
No, it's just flat on the tortilla,
and that's it.
Kind of
like you're eating a pizza. It's like you're eating a pizza without slicing it.
Yep.
Yeah. Not that I've had experience with that.
All right, Luis.
Yes.
What's your favorite food?
My favorite food is lomo saltado and ceviche. Those are my two things to go.
Lomo saltado.
Lomo saltado.
Lomo saltado. So tell us about that, because that sounds delicious.
Juan's going to make fun of us on this one.
Yeah, no, but just the name of that sounds delicious.
Yeah, lomo saltado, it's basically like stripes of beef.
Yeah.
With stripes of onion, tomatoes, and potatoes. It's like French fries mixed with striped beef with tomatoes and onions, and it has that sauce that's made by the tomato and the onion mixed with the stripe of beef. So it gives it a nice.
Right.
Nice
so no
flavor.
tortillas or nothing. It's just a dish on a.
With rice, and that's it.
Fantastic.
Yeah. We're going to have to try some of that.
Yeah, definitely. Ceviche is another one too that I help with that one on cooking.
You mean more than just going to the store and buying?
Yeah, with the ceviche, I'm actually
Okay.
I'm pretty good with the ceviche.
Oh, okay. You actually do the chopping.
Yeah.
And now ceviche. I think we've talked about ceviche before, but if I remember correctly, I've had it. Sometimes I've had it and it's great. Sometimes I've had it, it's not so good. But the key is it's got to be fresh.
Got to be fresh.
Yeah,
fresh.
The fish gotta be fresh, and two, you gotta leave the fish in lime juice. For at least half hour or an hour before you eat
Right.
it, because the fish
It almost cooks it.
Right.
You gotta
Yeah.
cook it.
The fish is raw, and the chemical reaction with the acids in the lime juice, so it's cooking the fish.
Correct.
But when it's done properly, it's so good.
Yeah, and then you gotta throw the fried corn on it with the yuca, potatoes,
Yuca
and the
fries.
juice.
Yuca fries are my favorite.
Yeah, those are delicious.
And onions, so it's pretty good.
See, vegetables. It's a way to get. That's the way to get your vegetables right there.
Yeah.
No, and it's just fish with onions, basically, like fine strips of onions, fish mixed with lemon juice and salt and cilantro, and that's it.
You put that in a piece of bread or a cracker, or how do you
No,
just with
that's
it?
it.
Just that's
It's
it.
like
No, that sounds delicious to
Some
me.
people eat it with crackers too. I see that.
Low fat, which is what Paul and I need.
Yeah, but low fat is also low flavor.
no, the fried corn is what they really
Yeah.
put next to it. It's like
That's-
corn,
yeah,
like fried
that's
corn.
delicious.
It's really good with the lime juice. It's just you'll probably keep eating just the fried corn with the lime juice alone.
Yeah, I was in Mexico, in Cabo, and they had a cevicheria there, and they had that with the tortilla chips. You just dip it. I couldn't stop eating it.
Yeah,
It was. I mean, it's so good. It tastes so fresh.
Yeah.
When you taste something and it just tastes fresh, like I don't know how to describe it, but you just can't stop eating it.
you just gotta say Peruvian food. That's it.
Yeah, I know. I love Peruvian food. Yeah, no, we were talking off the air before we came on about a Peruvian restaurant in Orlando, the Pio Pio, and the first time we went there, they just bring out this plate of food. It was all this big. It was an appetizer, and it was a plate of meat. There was 4 of us, and we could.
I remember tripa.
Oh,
Yeah.
Tripa on
the
that
guts.
plate, right? And it's some corn cakes. I think if I remember correctly, it was some like corn cakes on there. Some type of sausage like chorizo.
Yeah, but that was
Morcilla.
morcilla,
funny.
a blood sausage.
Oh, morcella.
Morcella.
Now we say in Portuguese morcella.
It's blood sausage. It was
Yes.
so good. The thing about blood sausage is, for me, it's got to be cooked very well.
I'll give you a good tip. Whenever you guys go to a Peruvian restaurant, ask for the aeropuerto,
Aeropuerto.
which that means in English airport,
Yeah.
and that's it.
That's
Just
it?
ask for the aeropuerto. Do you
Okay.
guys have an aeropuerto? Because it's basically like a platter with.
Oh, like a sampler dish platter.
Correct.
Okay.
It has like 4 different type of dishes, and they're all good.
Luis, I know where you live. And if I go to a Peruvian restaurant and I ask for aeropuerto and I get beat up, I'm going to come find you.
No, yeah, they're gonna like.
He's setting us up.
Yeah. I'm not falling for this again.
Where are they taking me?
Well, anyway, welcome to the METUS Tech Show, everyone. We have Paul Shaves here, Senior Training
Hey, everyone.
Manager. We have Junior and Luis, owners of Hampton's Air out of Long Island.
Long
Yes.
Island. Yep.
Long Island.
Excellent. And myself, Steve Pimentel. And we're going to talk a little bit about what they do at their company. And Luis, let's start with you. How did you get into HVAC and lead us up to the business that you're in now?
I basically started at a pizzeria, working at a pizzeria, and my friend actually, Junior, he went on a venture working for an HVAC company, and we always had this connection that we always talked and look out for each other. And one day, my Junior came, to the pizzeria because he used to also work there.
Yeah.
He came and he's like, why you don't try to do HVAC? You're pretty smart, and I'm sure you can do pretty good. At that time, I had other dreams. I wanted to be the manager of that deli,
Yeah.
and eventually, those dreams crashed because they really didn't give me the recognition I was seeking for.
Yeah.
So I started studying oil first. I started my games on oil and burner and controls, and then I transitioned into refrigeration. And I worked for someone. But eventually, me and Junior always talked throughout our career since we started. And we noticed that we kept on going back and forth on the things that my company that I was working for was doing wrong to me. And Junior would also do the same thing. He would call me and he'll be like, yo, dude, I can't believe this company's doing this. They should be cleaning the condensers. They should be taking out the leaves. Like, not all the techs are doing it. Like, and it's crazy. And in my scenario, it was like I was doing more for the business owner than what he would do for his own business.
Yeah, right.
So it came to a crashing point that, I'm like, I'm working for this guy, and this guy is getting mad at me because I'm overdoing his stuff. to the point that my ductwork designs were better than the bosses itself. But I was, seeking recognition. I wasn't really, and I like the craft. I like ductwork, I like airflow, all of that. So I genuinely fall in love with the HVAC industry in a way. And, time went by, and, we both were like talking to each other, Junior and I, and we were like, dude, like, you're great at this, I'm great at that. We both looking for the best interest of the HVAC industry itself, because in Long Island it's like the Wild West. It's like it's very competitive because you have the big companies that they monopolize everything, but they already left the love for the HVAC behind, and they're more focused money, and they're really not looking how to develop good service technicians, how to help good installers, how to evolve with the technology. So it came to a point that we're like, you know what? Like, we analyzed the whole market of the HVAC. We're like, this company is doing this wrong, this other company is doing this wrong, but we didn't have money. So eventually, we talked to each other, and we actually, when we first came up with the idea of doing the company, I remember I was, first it was the name. We were like, let's call it Hamptons HVAC. And then Junior and I were like, no, let's call it Junior. It's like, let's call it Hamptons Air. It's cooler. So that's how we came up with the name, Hamptons Air. And it's funny because we had a meeting with my old boss, who he had potential, but he was very irresponsible. He left me with no work for like 2 weeks, and I was very loyal. I was waiting for him. Then Junior and I talked, and we were like, we should start our own business. And we actually presented the idea to this guy, who was my old boss. We were like, hey, we're trying to open this business, Hamptons Air. You can keep doing your business, but maybe the three of us can go on a venture. And the reason why Junior and I decided to talk to him about it was because he was already in the business. He already owned his business for at least 5-6 years. So in our head, we were like, maybe this guy can help us in things that we don't know. But, he turned down the idea. He laughed at us, actually.
Wow.
And
his loss.
Yeah, and it was sad because, we were like, oh, dude, he laughed at us. He's like, because he got too egotism. He got the ego too high. Like, he was like, what are you guys going to bring to the table? Like, who are you? And so at that point, we were like, it's just me and you, bro. let's go to that door.
The bank's
let's
got
go.
plenty of money.
Yeah,
so.
let's go.
Yeah, but getting laughed at or not taken seriously, that must have been a spark.
Yeah.
That must have been a motivation. Like, oh yeah, you double dog dared me. I'll show you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I'm sorry. Continue.
No. Yeah, and so that was that, and then that's when we went to the LLC. We started the LLC, and a lot of people, we noticed that there's not a lot of partnerships, and that was one of the things that caught us by surprise, because we trusted each other. We know since high school, and we both had a goodwill for the HVAC industry. So it was surprising that when we went to open a bank account, the banker that was helping us, he's like, I haven't opened a partnership account in 12 years.
Wow.
And we were like, what? And, we thought it was normal, like, for two friends to go on a venture together. We had different minds. So, but just to show you that not a lot of people trusted each other. That's what him and I, when we walked out of the bank, we were like, dude, that's crazy. Like, nobody trusts each other. Like, what world are we living in? We're so goodwill. Like, I'll look out for his back, he'll look out for my back. So it was kind of like weird for us to have that feedback from the banker, and eventually, it caught us by surprise. But then one of the things that we had, like I said, in Long Island, it's like the Wild West. You have the big companies that monopolize everything, and then you have the little guys that they go dirt cheap with the installations. So we were like, we didn't have money, we didn't have nothing. The only thing that could really help us, it was, the appearance, because we looked at most of the HVAC companies, and 80% of the HVAC companies in Long Island is not downgrading the landscapers, but the HVAC guys dressed up like landscapers. Yeah. So that was the first thing that him and I, agreed on. We were like, you know what, we got to dress up like we are professionals. This is like a doctor career. We are doctors. It's just we are doctors of machines.
That's a great approach.
Yeah. So we went to Walmart. We got those nice blue button-up T-shirts, gray pants, and I remember at that time, myself, to be quite honest, my experience was more in installation. Junior had he was more 4 years ahead of me. He was a great service tech. So at that point, we were like, dude, I'll do the install. You help me with what I don't know, and let's just kill it. And that was the start of the relationship that made Hampton Sir.
And it was just the two of you to start?
It was just the two of us with a Bravada truck.
How old was the Bravada?
The Bravada was like from 2000
Bravada.
2006 Bravada. And it was a 2006 Bravada that had like 300,000 miles. Wow. It had heated seats, but the air conditioning didn't work.
Oh, wow.
So, and one of the stories that Junior and I always remember is that we were driving the Bravada in the middle of the summer with heated seats, no air conditioning, and we had to open all the windows and just keep going because we didn't have money and we wanted to keep rolling. And one of the things that I would always remember, and I'm sure Hugh remembers, is that we got pulled over once because during that time in 2014, that's when Hampton started, 2014, going into 2015, there was like a flood in Long Island. So there was a lot of people going into the rich house, the mansions, and stealing the copper. But Junior and I, since, we didn't have that much money, we were looking to make money anywhere. So when we went to rip out boilers, we will take out all the baseboard and then we will clean it, cut it, make it clean copper with dirty copper, and then we'll go and sell it because there is this Gershel, Gershel? Gershel is like a facility that buys copper or buys metal.
Like a scrap metal place. Yeah.
A scrap metal. Yeah. So we started, whatever we can, we went there and we sold the copper, and it was $300 here, $400 there, and that's how we got pulled over by the cops. When we were driving on the Bravada, we had like a lot of copper on the back. Yeah. And we got pulled over, and the cops were like, they thought we were stealing copper from their houses. So the cops had to call their officers, find out, and they found, they ultimately they knew that we weren't stealing the copper. We were actually,
because I was afraid of where the story was going.
No. But it's funny because we were like hustling, cutting the copper, and we had a lot of copper. When I tell you it was a lot of copper, it was a lot because it was also from the condensers that we replaced.
But it was also the shape of the Bravada that gave it away because it wasn't like in great shape either.
Oh yeah, so it's like they stole this truck, they're stealing copper.
You could sell the Bravada.
It's the middle of the summer. They're driving with heated seats. Something wrong.
Yeah, the cop must have been thinking to himself, "This is going to be the easiest arrest I got all week."
Yeah. So that was one of the things. Our work ethic. We were both hard workers. We weren't scared of working 24/7. There was days that we would do installs literally.
And that's what you have to do to get off the ground like that. Yeah.
Oh, I admire the work ethic and the hustle. That's what you guys had to do.
And that was it. And going back to what I said, the only thing that we had against the big companies, against the low bowlers, it was the appearance and showing professional the way that the HVAC technician should show up.
Yeah.
And that's how we did it. We went knocking on doors. Till this day, we're still knocking on doors. And that's one of the things. We went out and looked for the opportunity. And believe it or not, and we say every job we literally say yes, no matter what it was, yes. Like, you can do that, yes. We'll figure it out, and that was that. I mean, we started. That's how the venture started.
I want to come back and find out in a few minutes. I want to find out how you got to Mitsubishi and how many people you have now. But I want to talk to Junior first. Give us your side of the story.
Yes. So I'm Junior with Hampton Sir. So my side of the story, just to touch base on what Frank said. We used to work together. So my dad owns a pizzeria. That's kind of like, that was her job after high school. And after a few years doing it, I started developing like this rash in my hand. So I couldn't really touch the flour anymore. So it was the craziest thing. I did it for many years. And then after, all of a sudden just red, can't even come close to flour. So I was like, well, I have to figure something else to do. So I looked up and I saw a company down the road was hiring. So I went in and applied, and I started in the warehouse, just keeping the warehouse clean, helping the guy that was making the ductwork and, fabricating sheet metal. And that's how I got in. So to me, that was great because this company had it sounds like the oldest company on Long Island, and there's so many other companies that kind of came out of it. So, but it has so many parts in the warehouse, collecting dust. So I remember just going up to the parts and I would pick a part. I looked at it. I didn't know what I was looking, but then I would try to find out what it was for and what it did. And I got so much insight on, learning what a capacitor, 20 MFD, I was learning every day in this warehouse, cleaning it and breaking units. To me, that was one of the things that helped me out as a service tech was just taking apart the units and seeing what was in them.
Yeah.
I got to see the guts inside the furnace, the hidden high pressure sensor that no one knows about. So it kind of really brought me. I remember just going to the back of the warehouse, just bracing pipes when it was slow. And from there, I didn't do much install. I kind of went into maintenance and then service. And then I never felt like I couldn't do install because I almost knew what I needed to do. It was more like put it together and then, you'll figure it out. And then, just worked there for 6 years. Yeah. Frank came after into the industry, like he said. He saw me doing good and, he wanted to try something new. So he went to school. I also went to school. To get my EPA. Went to BOCES, did some Suffolk County Community College for HVAC, but mainly just a lot of work ethic and love for the industry and kind of learning. And when he went in, like he said, his boss was a little, slow time, wasn't communicating. We don't have work, so we ultimately came together and we decided to go on our own. So
that's awesome.
And,
so you're on your own. It's just both of you. You just started your business. When did you hire extra help? When did you need extra help?
You should.
So we started. It's funny. We started with a mindset. We got to look big. So. Our appearance and everything have to show up. We always, even to this day, we want to look big because we want to grow. So we started just us. We hire a guy to help us out in the field, install, service, and then the company that I was with was going through a rough patch, and one of the secretary, got laid off. So we talked to her. We were like, wait, I don't have much to offer you right now, but if you stick with us, we have big picture, big ambition. And I don't know what made her bite into it, but she came over. She used to go to the basement, do our paperwork. And that's kind of where now we started to grow a little bit faster because we didn't have to do a lot of the payment. Yeah. The filing,
the chasing the money and all the paperwork,
all the books, right?
Keeping everything in line with the accountant and all that. So, and she was good at it because she had some experience from before. Honestly, she wasn't making. She could have made much more money
if she
somewhere else.
That's amazing.
That is amazing.
No, but the amazing part, you should talk how you got into the company you were working for.
It's funny how life works because she was actually the one that got me the job. I didn't know her, but she used to go buy pizza at the pizza place. So when I went to apply, she was like, no, he's a good guy. He works at the pizza place. He's that. So they hired me part-time.
Oh, wow.
So it's
thanks to her. Yeah.
Like a loop.
Wow, that's
So,
You know,
sweet.
it's funny because we just heard a keynote speaker, and it was John Foley, who's a former Blue Angels pilot, and he was talking about growing and being grateful and the trust. And the thing that amazed me the most is he was talking about he gets in his jet, and every pilot in the world before they get on a plane they do a self check, but not the Blue Angels. And I never knew this. He was talking about they have another pilot who does the pre-check form, the flight check form, and they get in there and they shake hands, and that's the trust.
That's the trust,
So
yeah.
because you, Luis, were talking about the trust that you guys have, and that's important. That's a huge thing to
yeah,
trust somebody to that
it's-
point.
It's funny you mentioned that. When he said it, it struck me. I was like, just like the Blue Angel. Like, I mean, I don't care what he does. You know, like sometime with partnership, what is he doing? Am I doing more? I know we're in for the same mission. And, you know, we are at the point that anything we do it for the company. Like, we think about Hamptons Air being bigger than ourselves. We really want something that could stay, that can provide to many people. And I said to him, like, we give chance. Anybody that comes and asks me for a job, I can sit here and I cannot say I have said no. It's very random when I really say, I kind of want to give people a chance.
You guys have the love of the industry because you were talking about the big conglomerates that they lose that love of that desire for the business. So it's not really desire; it's that heart,
love, yeah.
the heart. So you started in 2014, just the two of you in a Bravada truck. You still have that truck?
No.
No? Okay.
We know where it is, though. We know where it is.
We want to find it. We
Yeah,
want to find it.
so how many employees do you have now?
Right now, we are about, with the office stuff, we still work in the business here now, so about 24 right now.
24. In 10 years, you went from U2 to 24.
Yes.
All right, that is amazing. And tell us, how did you get into doing Mitsubishi? Because you said, Luis, that you would just say yes. Yes, anything came up, you just say yes. So I'm curious as to how you got into installing and servicing Mitsubishi.
So yeah, like I said, when I was in the install department, when I was working for this guy, we did. I came across on another manufacturer heat pump, and I saw it, and it was. I started. I believed on the heat pump technology since I got into the industry, but what really pushing the heat pump was when we saw the Mitsubishi technology and how solid the unit was. And one of the things that really made us stick with the Mitsubishi was when you talk to any service tech that's been in the industry for more than 10 or 20 years, Mitsubishi was like the brand that will never really repair it. So at that point, we were like, wow, like you talk to a service tech, you ask them, hey, have you repaired any Mitsubishis? They're like, no, I do maintain them, but I rarely change a board. And so that's when Junior and I, we started like really looking more deep into the heat pump, into the Mitsubishi systems. And we started, pushing the heat pump technology through Mitsubishi.
Yeah, and you said earlier that you guys had a passion for the HVAC industry. You didn't like what you saw other contractors doing during their installs. You're putting all your heart and soul into the install. So if you do that with a Mitsubishi system, you're going to get 20, 30 years out of that system.
I know.
It's only as good, and this goes for any manufacturer, it's only as good as how it's installed, right?
Correct.
But when you're hearing, heat pump, Mitsubishi heat pump systems require very little service. You're not going back on callbacks. That's all due to install, right?
Yeah.
In install, I've told the story a couple of times. When I had a lot of service of Mitsubishi heat pumps when I was in a truck, but the overwhelming majority of them were either install related or something that was out of anybody's control. Struck by lightning, hit by a car,
Mice chewing up the wire.
mice chewing wire, bad power. Brownouts, or high voltage spikes, where was talking to somebody yesterday, they're on an island here off of Corpus Christi, and they got power issues. Last week I was with some people from Martha's Vineyard, and they got power issues. So they need to put some power conditioners on everything to prevent that. So those are the kind of service calls that you see.
No, and one thing that I remember when Junior and I were talking about Mitsubishi was like, I remember opening a Mitsubishi condenser, and Junior saying, "Do you see the coating on the board?" And I was like, "Yeah, I see the coating." And then, we turned around and we looked at the other manufacturer board, and we didn't see that same coating. And we were like, there is like meticulous care. Whoever is doing the build of the unit, they really love this. And that's one of the things that we were like, whoa, it has that little plastic coating on top of it, so that makes the board last longer versus the other
There's
manufacturers.
a lot of little things that you notice, and this even before I came to work for Mitsubishi. When I was a tech, the big thing was, Mitsubishi is expensive. It's an expensive.
It's well
unit.
worth it.
And now working here and seeing all of the little details, like you're talking about, in everything, in the piping, in the components, and I know what you're talking about with the coating on the board. That's huge.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you guys, I had the benefit of going to Japan.
Wow.
And I went to see the factory. I saw them make a P-series unit from beginning to end. And it starts off with the bottom plate with a compressor on it and a wiring harness. I saw them build it from beginning to end. And at the end, the last thing of the station is there's a lady there who puts on the stickers. The Mitsubishi sticker, right? And I thought there was going to be some laser-guided machine that puts this sticker on. No, she comes out, no measurements, no laser guidance. She eyeballs it.
Wow.
She eyeballs it and she puts there. And you looked at every machine that came off of there, and that sticker.
Jesus.
There wasn't a millimeter difference from one unit to the other. It was amazing the work ethic that they have. And everybody, no matter what your job is, there. They were talking about this. Tokyo is one of the most populous, if not the most populous city in the world. And you drive through this city, there's no trash. It jumps out at you. You don't see trash.
Yeah.
But that meticulous, and I asked, well, what happens if she goes on break? Somebody else comes out over there. What happens if she's sick? Well, somebody else will do it. They train them so well. So it's something. And when you see these things come off the line and then you hear somebody say, "Oh, I got this unit. It came with a hole in it." Because I don't think so. I don't believe it because they go through these standards. And so it's nice to hear that.
To add a little bit of that, how we got into heat pump, there was one of when Hyperheat came out.
Oh, yeah.
So we always knew that we got to differentiate. Part of like showing up clean, showing up professional, we got to be a little bit different. So when I heard Hyperheat, I started like reading about it. What is this thing? What does it do? And we gave it a try. We were scared. We took out like a full oil system out, and we did our first Mitsubishi, and it kind of blew our minds how much heat was coming out of the vent. We do all sorts of tests. We were excited, let's crank it up.
We talked about this yesterday,
oh my
right?
God.
Removing a boiler, removing a furnace, a fossil fuel system to replace it in the Northeast.
Yeah.
Replace it with a heat pump system could be scary.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But it's been proven over and over that these systems are just that they can take it. They can.
There are some differences. You have to educate the end user. Go, look,
Correct.
With the oil furnace, this hot air is going to come out. It's going to come out really hot. It's going to dry everything out, and it's going to have a quick recovery. But heat pumps don't work like that. It takes a little bit longer. They're going to run a little longer. So, because I've done the same thing. If you don't explain that to somebody, well, the air coming out, it's not as warm. He goes, no, it's not going to be. It does the same thing. It does it better, and it does it differently, and it does it a lot more comfortable.
And I think part of it is also, fossil fuels was kind of the first heating system that was in America. Yeah. So, and also the government pushed it a lot back in the day. So the heat pump didn't have the help. Yeah. And that's where, us as HVAC contractors, we had to really sit down and explain to the homeowner how the heat pump really worked. And we spent hours. The first Mitsubishi that Junior was talking about was to a lawyer. And, we were scared. It's a lawyer. And we were like, and he's a Fifth Street lawyer from Manhattan. We found that out after we did the job. We started doing. I'm like, oh my God, this guy is famous. This guy is from Fifth Street. To the point that one time I was talking to him and I was like, hey, I'm gonna go through a divorce. Can you help me? He's like, no, you cannot afford me. And I was like, oh, and so it's it's a funny story that he just got married. So we were sitting with his wife and him, and we were explaining him how the Mitsubishi was gonna work. It took him almost a month to really for him to make that decision. To the point he's like, okay, guys, let's go ahead
Did you
with
tell
the
him that
Mitsubishi.
you guys were expensive?
So it's funny, yeah. The hyperheat. I forgot about that story. The hyperheat.
We were scared, like if this thing doesn't work, we don't have the money,
money,
to
yes.
buy another one. It was like one of those things. Like,
Well, we
should
talked about
do
it yesterday at the
And it's
roundtable
like,
meeting that we had. We were talking back and forth that heat pumps have come a long way. The heat pumps of the 80s and 90s are night and day compared to the heat pumps of today, right?
I used to tell people, take this heat pump out. It was hybrids. It was a heat pump with gas. Take this out and go straight to a gas furnace. Because they weren't, until they were able to heat at really low temperatures. 30 degrees was about it. 35 degrees. Once it got below that, forget. But now the technology has changed so much. And that's one of the great things about this business. Technology changes so much. That's why you have to keep going to training.
Yeah.
It's always evolving. I think that's one of the things that made us fall in love with the industry, that you never stop learning.
Right.
And it's like we have this drive to keep learning, and it's amazing. It's really
and it's
cool.
ever changing. When I was in the field, we had boilers with just a circulator and maybe a take ozone valve. Now I'm hearing from the students in my classes, oh yeah, when it's working on a boiler the other day, it's a Wi-Fi boiler with an inverter-driven circulator. And I'm like, whoa, what's going on? What's going on in the field today? It's changing.
Those inverted motors are everywhere. Those inverted motors are in refrigerators. They're in dishwashers and washing machines. They're everywhere.
Soft start, everywhere.
Yeah.
Now, I want to talk about, we mentioned earlier about investing in the right tools. When you first started out, just you and Junior, what kind of tools did you have?
That's a good one. We have a story.
When we first started out, I was getting to be a pretty well-rounded service technician. So I could say I have really good tools at that point, but getting to that point was more like investing, saving, and buying the right tool for the job. But back to having the right tool, that kind of made us do our job a lot easier. When you don't have that screwdriver that fits that screw, you could be there 2 hours just fighting to get this thing off, and it gets frustrating. Sometimes we don't have a lot of patience, especially in hot attics, and just your day just becomes so much more harder,
right?
Just because sometimes we don't take the time to see what kind of tool do I need to service this.
The difference in taking a screw that's you're taking it off with a Phillips or a 5/16 nut driver. 5/16 nut driver on a drill now.
You want to know a tool that changed my life? Magnetic nut drivers.
I was just gonna. We were just gonna say that we were. I would never forget. Every time we went to the store. Over there, the company that sells the coolest tools and they really invest on tools is Sid Harvey's. You go to Sid Harvey's and you find any tool you want.
I've been in the city.
It's like going to
a candy shop.
Okay.
It's like that, and it was
Probably
funny.
should stay away.
And it was funny because we will go there and Junior start ordering the pieces, and I'll be walking on the store picking this nut drive, picking this, picking that, and then I'll come to the table and I was like, "Look, Junior, look what I found!" And we're like, "Oh my God, really?" We got excited like babies with the nut drivers, and
you guys are inspiring me so much. I'm gonna turn around and start my own business tomorrow.
and it was cool because it got to a point that we were buying the most expensive scissors for ductwork. It was the Milwaukee scissors, remember? It was
so tin snips,
tin snips, and they were $30 each. And at that time we didn't have money, but one of the things that we were like, this is gonna make our life easier when we're doing the install. Let's buy. And to be honest, we bought the scissors, but we shared it. It wasn't mine, or it was a shareable scissors. So it was
that's awesome.
Here's the duct, because we had the ductwork backpack. Then we had the plumbing backpack, and then we have the service backpack, which it was Junior's backpack because he was more well-rounded with that. So it was
dividing your tools also by section, on a service. I always had, this is my oil bucket, this is my service bucket, and then I would have maybe ductwork, And I mean, one of the things I do, even if I go to a job site, I never bring my tools out. Like, my first tool is my eyesight, my vision, and my hearing. Like, that's where I go for. And a lot of time you'll be surprised. You don't need to carry you back so much.
Yeah, I used to work with guys that would haul a bucket of tools up on a roof and vacuum pumps and gauges, and they haven't even looked at what the problem was.
Yeah.
And all I got is a 6-in-1 in my back pocket and a small adjustable, and I could fix everything with that.
Yeah,
right?
and duct tape and a hammer.
Duct tape and a hammer.
But you guys were talking about being, doctors of machines, right? Well, a doctor doesn't walk in with a scalpel right away. He's gonna have somebody else do it, but they're gonna get some vital signs, and they're gonna find out, and they're gonna sit and talk to you. And that's where I think a lot of people miss the boat. You walk in with a tool bag, you don't even know what the issue is first. That's one thing. I used to do that too. I used to walk in. I need some information so I know what tools I need. I need to have an idea of what's wrong. Okay, does it sound electrical? Does it sound mechanical? Does it sound like an airflow issue?
I think that's what Junior just mentioned. I think it's a very important point for service techs. Do not take out your tool bag just yet. Go inspect the system, and based on what you see, then you start working towards that. I think that's very important for service techs, and I say it because obviously he was the guru of HVAC and I was just the installer and the salesman, but it got to a point that I went to do the service code, because we were both doing service code, both doing installs, and it get to a point that I was doing what you were talking about, going in the roof. I was doing that. I was bringing all my tools ready to rock and roll, and Junior will be like, "Nah, dude, relax. You gotta go see. You don't even know." And so this brings us to the second most important thing for service techs: do not assume that you already find the solution to the problem until you see it, because I was kind of like the assumer. Like a customer called me and they kind of explained what it was, and I was like, "Oh, I already know what it is, Junior. It's this, that." And that, as a service tech, could go either good or really bad. And I think it's more 70% bad than 30% good. Yeah. So that's where, going back to Junior's point, is as a service tech, it's very important to inspect the equipment before you even take out your tools.
Yeah,
so
don't make any assumptions. Look at everything, get the information first.
And I put myself as an example because I was that trainee guy going, and learning, and that's one of the things that kind of stopped me, because I'll be with my tools on the rooftop, and it was just a cable that had to be connected at the thermostat.
So you're about 27 employees, and I think you said earlier you're about 11 technicians, installers in service, right?
Yes.
That's not including you. So
no, 11 installers, because it's like the lead installer. Yeah, it's a lead installer and a helper. So all those 5 vans have 2 people in it.
Wow.
So that's the install department, and then the service department is a 1 van guy. So that's another 5.
So every job is 2 installers, or do you have jobs we're going to send 2 teams? So how does that work?
It really depends on the job. So
the size of the job,
the scenario where the job is, like
deadlines maybe.
If it's if we have to meet a deadline, but like if it's a 1-to-1 Mitsubishi out the wall 10 feet of line set, that's a 2 guy. They might do 2 in a day.
Yeah, half a day. Yeah.
So if it's more complex, we have 3. A lot of time we have a third helper, which is like somebody fresh that is learning and that we want him to pick up and actually, grow in the industry. So like I said, we give a lot of chances. This is where we take those chances. Like, it's a huge cost to us as a company because we sometimes really don't need that person on the job, but we truly think that we need those young people.
Yeah.
And if we can have our lead guy and they can create good habits, because a lot of the time, when we go to install, we get a lot of people that have been doing this for 5 years, but they have developed bad habits because of bad people that third in. Like, it's not that they want to have those habits; that's just how they learn the trade.
Right.
So that's why I was going to ask you about that, about the training. So let's start with installer. Just elaborate more what you said here. So you'll hire somebody as an installer, and this is with or without experience.
Yeah. So if you have no experience, we like you to have some schooling. Like you went to BOCES, you got EPA. That's a plus.
Okay.
It's not like if you don't have it. Like if you show that you want to work, we'd still give you opportunity. but we have them almost like jumping around when we need them. You know, if I need you on the warehouse today because we got a lot of equipment, that's where I'm going to need you. So we make sure that they know that they're going to be flexible. And then we'll see where they develop. Like some guys are going to be better for service because they can talk to people. Some guys are going to be better for install because they really don't have that customer people type of personality. So it kind of like gives us an idea and also gives them an idea because we ask them at a year time, okay, what do you see yourself? A lot of them would say, no, I really like install. They would say, no, I don't want to do service. Like I'm afraid of being on call, like the weekend stuff. Like, all right, so let's focus on where you can grow with us. So,
Do you have an organized training plan, or is it simply go shadow my lead guy?
No,
go shadow him.
So we have training facility. It's not huge, but we have training every month for install and then training for service. I personally run those trainings, and then we have briefing meetings one-on-one. But anybody that has a question, like I always tell my guys, I know by heart there's no thing in HVAC that we cannot figure it out. Like I know we can figure it out, whatever it is, and it's a lot of that communication and a lot of that researching and looking things up. But so when they come in, like they're like a sponge. Like they literally learn every day. So at 2 years mark, like we have guys they just like very well rounded at 2 years. Like I can put them against a guy that's been doing 5-6 years because they've been doing repetitive things every day. And our guys just kind of like blow them out of the park.
Yeah.
But we focus on following the proper, superheat subcool.
Right.
Vacuuming to the right microns. These are the tools that you need. Combustion testing on every service call. Like there's no job that you install fossil fuel that you don't do combustion testing. And we have a system that holds them accountable because they got to provide that information before they leave the job. So.
Your story is an amazing story. I'm very impressed because you may not be young, but you look young.
I told him to shave so that could throw people off.
Compared to me, you guys look young. So I'm. It's such an exciting story to hear. It's truly a success story, and it's a reason why you guys are here. You have to be an elite diamond contractor to be at this conference. So, one more question: what percentage? You don't have to be exact, but what percentage of your business would you say is Mitsubishi?
I'd say right now, 65 to 70%.
Good.
Mitsubishi.
Wow. That's good.
Yeah, we love Mitsubishi. That's and even the guys actually that love have narrowed down into the guys, and we found guys like that they get excited when there is a new Mitsubishi part coming out, or the Kumo Cloud, for example. If you go and say Kumo, the installers, everybody's like, really? Or so it's that love. I mean, because you wouldn't get that response if they wouldn't love HVAC.
Right.
Because one of the things that, for example, going back to what the other competitors had, it was they get so tired of the HVAC that when there is a new part coming out, their expression is like, really? Now I have to. I'm sorry. Beep. Now I have to learn this. Really, I have to learn this.
Yeah.
As opposed as us, in Hampton, sir, we're like, oh my God, we got to learn this. This is amazing.
That's
so
great.
it's like
Attitude
two
is everything.
different.
We get in trouble all the time.
Yes, we do.
We're the first one to try it. It's
Attitude is
man,
everything.
Do I really have to do that?
And I got one last question for you guys. So we know that there's a shortage in the industry. All of the old timers are retiring. I'm an old timer. Paul's an old timer.
Oh yeah.
You guys, the
but
OGs.
the really old timers, they're leaving the trade. They're retiring. Who is filling their shoes? Right? Do you guys you're at 27 employees? Do you have any trouble finding any extra help right now, talent?
What's surprising is there is talent out there. You just have to really
Pay.
once you got to pay them well. Too, you got to treat them well. Yeah. It's not just all about paying people. It's more like they feel good about coming to work and then they feel part of something that's going to grow, that has value. But going to BOCES, any schooling that provides training through high school or through like a community college, we get a lot of guys like that. And ultimately, us looking to see, because all I really need is somebody that's trustworthy that can show up, and like we can teach you.
Yeah, that's why I'd rather have somebody who makes mistakes but shows up every day on time than the know-it-all who I can't depend on to be there
with a bunch of bad habits.
Because if you don't show up, how's good as your knowledge? Like, it doesn't help.
And then another thing, to add, I mean, Junior and I came up with the idea of doing a projection pyramid. So we do have a projection pyramid for all the newbies, because right now it's a new generation. So the new guys now, they want to make money quick. But in the HVAC industry, you could do that if you really love HVAC. Because if you really love HVAC, within 3 months, like 90 days, you could be the king of mini splits. But that's if you really love HVAC. So one thing that Junior and I did, it was the pyramid, the projection pyramid. You're here as a helper, 2 years as a helper, 4 years and 5 years this, 6 years this, 7 years this. And we have titles for it, helper, then install helper, then installer, then lead installer, then hydronic and boiler installer.
Smart.
A career roadmap.
Yes,
correct.
We tied that to
A number,
a
too.
number range, very competitive, and obviously we'll change that with the time. But it's almost like they kind of know where they go, because if you're a new kid, like, and you're trying to do something, the first thing is like, how much money could I make if I go to be a lawyer? Like, that's what you
Correct.
search. Like, how can I make? Like, because honestly, they have to make a living. They have to be able to get enough money to stay where we are. Where we are is very expensive. So if you become a service tech but you can't afford to live, then you're gonna do something else.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you can keep that balance of, like, people feel like they're learning every day, they're being compensated well, and then obviously they start to provide back to the company, I think it's more creating a win-win type of situation.
Right. Awesome.
Yeah,
My son tells me, he says, Dad, if I get a job that pays $100,000, I can buy a Lamborghini.
But you see, there is a job. There is a job as a consultant. He can make 100,000, but that's based on commission.
Yeah, I said,
so you see, that's the.
You got insurance on the Lamborghini, food that you have to buy, clothes. There's a lot of. You got a girlfriend that goes all your money.
He's going to have to work for 5 years without paying anything, and including taxes.
Right.
And I think
But
that's
I love his
very
thinking.
important. The pyramid is very important for the new generation.
That's excellent.
And,
that growth pyramid is excellent idea.
And the growth pyramid, it's also, there is the pyramid of compensation, which is, the pyramid has 3 angles, 1, 2, 3. So basically the customer has to win, the employee has to win, and the company has to win.
Yeah.
So, and that has to be the way always. As soon as you start going more like Pythagoras triangle, going more into one side and the other one, there is a problem. Because if you're just thinking for yourself as a business owner and you're not thinking of your guys, eventually it's going to be a problem. If you start, giving more to the customer, eventually it's going to be a problem for the business. If you start giving more to the employees without holding them accountable, you're going to have a bunch of bad habit employees. So it all has to be a perfect pyramid.
It's a
Equilibrium.
dance. It's a dance.
Yeah.
It's a balance.
Yeah, that's great. No, you guys, God love you, because you guys got a great
I'm
success
so
story
inspired
here.
by your story today. I wasn't expecting that. I thought it was great. We were going to talk about other things.
We were going to get into some technical stuff, but I personally speaking would rather have heard this story than have you guys talk about some technical stuff. So, Junior, Luis, I just want to thank you guys.
Thank you for having us.
No, thank you for doing this for us. If there's anything we can do for you, let us know.
Yeah. Yeah, no.
Unlike you, I don't say yes all the time. But
We'd love to have you back next year if we do another diamond.
Yeah.
I'm sure we're
Okay.
going to have another diamond conference, and we'll continue this
yeah,
conversation
fine.
next
I'm
year.
curious to
We'll
see.
meet again.
Yeah.
I'm curious, and I'm on the back 9, so I hope I'm still here. As you guys get older, this is for the next episode. What's in it for you when you reach retirement age? What's a long-term plan here? I'm curious, but we'll talk. We'll save that for another time.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for your time.